ways to become wealthy. I've just compiled a new book of all these things I've written down over the years, and it's called 8 Ways to Become Wealthy. Today, I'm going to give you one or two of those items because time is limited. The first, and probably the most critical one, is called the back door. People see a financial opportunity and they want to grab it. They look at all the money that they can make, how adventurous and successful it is, and they look at the positive. Do they ever look at the negative? Do they ever look at what the other possibility is that you don't want to look at? I devised a way to look at the other way you don't want to look at it, and to come up with a solution. So if you have the front door, which is you're going to do this enthusiastic project, which is going to make you a lot of money, make you successful, make you politically popular, and very rich. That's what everybody looks at. But do they ever look at, well, what if the front door opportunity doesn't happen? They don't want to look at that. They only want to look at the success. So, how can you do this without making this other possibility of failure not to be a failure? And I call it the back door. And the example is, you're in a house and there's a burning fire. And if the front door is burning and you can't go out the front door, what do? The back door. That's right. You go to the back door. So when you're laying out your fire emergency plan, you should always know where your back door is and how to get there. When you go to a hotel room, it says here's the staircase and here's the elevator. Don't use the elevator. Here's the other staircase, and it tells you the route out the different doors. Well, for many years, I would see an opportunity and I would say, okay, and it might not go the way I want it, but okay, I'll take the risk. And I never thought about it as a back door. So one time I was building a project. I was building a 6-unit condominium project, and it was $1 million. And it took me so long to get this thing through the building department and the planning department and the contractors and everything that by the time I was ready to start construction, I was worried the economy was going to turn around. I had to make a decision. Do I proceed or do I wait? So we knew what the front door was. The front door was I'd sell them 6 condominiums. I'd sell them for over $2 million. I'd have $1 million profit. $1 million profit? Wouldn't that be nice? $1 million profit? Just for me? Oh, and the IRS. But I said, now wait a minute, I'm worried about the economy. So I gotta have a back door. And that's when I came up with the concept of the back door. And I looked and I said, okay, so what happens? The economy tanks, and I can't sell my 6 units of condominiums. So what's my back door? And I go, I'll rent it. Oh, my God, rent it. That's a novel idea, isn't it? Can't sell it, rent it. But I had to figure out, does that work? So I sat down and said, all right, I have a construction loan, which converts into a permanent financing loan. So I didn't have the problem of getting permanent financing if I was going to keep the building. That was already in place. So I looked at the mortgage and figured out what the payments were. And then I figured out what the fair market rents are if I rented the building. But since we were talking about in case of a fire, which is the economy's down, I deducted 10% off my estimated rents because I know rents go down. Did you know rents go down when things go bad? Some people don't look at the rents going down. They don't know about that back door. So I looked at that. I looked at what the expenses of keeping it as a property was, and lo and behold, I put it all together, and I came up with a negative cash flow of $1,000 a month. Now, $1,000 a month may not sound like a lot to you now, but I did this in 1990, and $1,000 a month negative cash flow is a lot of money. And I was worried about, could I make the $1,000 a month negative cash flow? Not for a month, not for a year, but I said, if it drops, and it takes a long time before it comes up, could be 10 years. So I calculated how much was going to be $1,000 a month for 10 years. And that's $100,000. I said, okay. I even said, if I can't make the mortgage on the house and the apartment building, I'll pay the apartment building and I'll worry about the house later, because the apartment building, when the market comes back, since it's by UCLA, which is Westwood, which is top real estate, it'll be more important. So that's what I did, and I had my back door. So that's exactly what happened. I finished the building. The month or the week that they gave me a final sign-off, the economy crashed. And instead of 30 people coming to look at my condominiums, I had 2 people. And they said, well, we're just looking. We think the economy's going to slow down. Oh, well, where did you read that? The LA Times? Oh, no. We just came up with that on our own. Gee, it's how smart people are when they read it in the newspaper. So the interesting part is, I got to test my theory. A friend of mine was building a 30-unit apartment building in Brentwood, which is right next door to Westwood. And I said, the economy's slowing down, and I looked at it and I go, I wonder whether he has a back door. So I called him up and I says, I want to go to lunch with you. We're sitting at lunch. I says, so how's the project? He says, I got my funding, my financing, everything's ready to go. I said, have you thought about that the economy could be slowing down? No, I hadn't thought about it. I says, it's slowing down in West Covina. It's slowing down in San Bernardino. It's only a matter of time before it comes to West LA. Nah, it wouldn't happen. I says, well, did you ever look at what if you're wrong? No. I says, so let's look at it. He says, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? What's this backdoor baloney? I said, so if you can't sell your condominiums, what's a secondary option? He says, I don't have one. I says, can you rent them? And he goes, no, I can't rent them for enough money to pay the mortgage. I said, so if the economy slows down and you can't sell your condominiums, I says, you have no back door and the front door is burning. I says, so you burn in the fire? And he goes, well, if you put it that way, I says, so don't build the project. That's your back door. Don't build your project. Oh, no, I got to build the project. The finances in place. Everything's ready to go. I have to build this project. No. I says, well, and what happens if you build a project and you can't sell your condominiums? He says, I'm wiped out. I said, so you're going to let this one decision wipe out your whole life because you're going to lose all your money and whatever your clients' money and investors' money? He says, but it'll be all right. I says, my God. Right? So I finished my project, and as I told you, the economy collapsed, and I rented it, and I still own the building today, by the way, 28 years later. And it's worth a lot of money. And the economy collapsed, and the bank foreclosed on his project before I ever finished it. The bank foreclosed, they finished it, and then somebody bought it and rented it or sold it. I didn't follow the project. But I haven't seen that guy in 28 years. He just disappeared from my community. But he wouldn't look at a back door, and he burned in the fire. So now I talk to people about the back door. You should always know what your back door is, because there's always got to be a back door. Because there's always got to be, what if A doesn't work? There's got to be a B. And by the way, it's okay to figure out if the front door is blocked and the back door is blocked, have you got a window you can climb out of? And the funny part is about emergencies. If you prepare for an emergency, does it ever happen? Yeah, it happens. But it's not an emergency because you're prepared for it. You don't even think about it. It's just, you just go that direction and everything seems to work out regardless of what the situation is. So, have your front door, have your dream, have your goal, and figure out what your back door is so that you're not having sleepless nights worrying about your ship coming in and that there might actually be a dock strike. Mr. Toastmaster.
Good job. Good job. Good job. Thank you, Willard.